I'm Heidi McCutcheon. I'm the Executive Director of the Shelton Mason County Chamber of Commerce. It's my pleasure to be your host tonight along with John Lester. John is the President of the Chamber Board as well as the ad manager for the Shelton Mason County Journal, one of tonight's partners. Tonight's event is also being live streamed thanks to our partners at Canal Communications and MasonWebTV. I'd also like to mention the members of the Chamber's Government Relations Committee. Thank you for your hard work putting tonight together.
You're welcome, Heidi.
Before we get to our candidates, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please take your seat. Tonight we're happy to bring the candidates of the City of Shelton, Commissioner of Streets and Public Improvements, Kevin Dorcy, Jacob Dreifus, and Tracy Moore. Eric Onisko is unable to be with us tonight, though he did send along a statement that I'll read at this time. Good evening. My name is Eric Onisko. I am running for City of Shelton Commissioner of Streets and Public Improvements. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this forum and to each of you for attending. I'm sorry I am unable to be here tonight. I am committed to a previous engagement with my wife out of town this evening. I have lived and worked in Shelton, Mason County for 40 years. I own and operate 2 successful businesses, one in the city of Shelton and the other in Mason County. I am running for Shelton Commissioner because I am a common sense person and I believe that I can make common sense decisions that may benefit the city, citizens, and businesses of Shelton. The city has many challenges, some of which water, sewer, roads, and the need to complete projects in a timely manner. The city has wasted valuable taxpayer money by creating unnecessary infrastructure, and $500,000 was wasted on sewer lines that to this day continue to have no hookups. This money could have been used to lower the high sewer rates to you, the ratepayer. Money has also been wasted on the water lines that have never worked due to design errors. Also, taxpayer money was wasted on water tanks that have no customers. Another financial loss to the city occurred because the city did not complete simple improvement projects within required time frames. Because of this, Shelton was forced to return grant-funded dollars for several projects, and this has caused significant negative impacts to the city, which will impact the the future grant funding. I have strong budget and management skills, and as your commissioner, this is not something that I would allow to happen. I believe that the past Shelton commissioners have not asked tough questions of the staff, which resulted in some of these failures. I will ask the tough questions. Additionally, previous commissioners did not listen to you, the citizens of Shelton. I believe it's time we start. I do believe an effort is being made by the new city manager and our new staff to fix these problems. I'm asking for your vote so that I can join in this effort. I will work to improve Shelton. I will listen to you, and together we can help Shelton grow and prosper the way it ought to. I bring good judgment, good business practices, and a passion to make Shelton a stronger, more vibrant city. As your commissioner, I will have an open door policy. I want to hear your ideas, your criticisms, and your concerns. Thank you for your time and attendance tonight. You can follow me and message me on Facebook. I am available, and I welcome the opportunity to answer your questions. My name is Eric Onisko. Please vote for me for City of Shelton Commissioner of Streets and Public Improvements. Thank you. And again, that's a statement by him. With that, let's get things started. Begin with the, I jumped to the wrong paragraph here. Our format this evening will begin with an opening statement from each of the candidates on the role of city commissioner and what makes them qualified for that position. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for their statements. Lisa Perry, here in the front row,
Patty Case.
and Patty, will end up, signal you when you have 15 seconds left, and then again with the red stop sign when your time is ended. With that, now we're going to get things started, and we'll begin with our incumbent, Tracy Moore.
Yay, thank you so much. Are we standing when we speak, or?
You can do what you like.
Okay, I think I'll sit since this is attached. Tracy Moore, I've been very pleased to be your City Commissioner of Public Works the last 3.5 years. I moved here 30 years ago. I was excited even then by the potential of this beautiful little city and was excited to have Shelton as my children's hometown. I immediately, when I moved here, got involved in schools in the visioning process way back then, which is where I met a number of you. I was part of the group that promoted the Main Street program, and I was a founding member of his historic preservation project in Shelton. I worked for the library, for the city, for the county. I worked for nonprofits, and all the time I remained a strong citizen activist, most particularly in neighborhood protections. I haven't looked back. I'm still committed, and I still believe in the potential of Shelton. We've had some great wins during that time and all that I've been involved in. We have a clock tower, which is great and was a lot of work. We have 2 historic districts. We have a library that has been funded by the citizens. And we've also lost some significant things. We've lost the Shelton Gymnasium, we've lost the Catholic Church, and we've lost some of the neighborhood protections that we worked so hard for. That is what prompted me to run for office, is the loss of those neighborhood protections. And during the time that I've been on the commission, I have put my full effort into making recommendations and making votes that would benefit our citizens and make this a better community.
Thank you. Jacob Dreifus.
So I've been passionate about politics ever since I was 10 years old. I started getting really involved in politics when I lived in the city of Kent, which is where I come from before I moved here. I would go down to Kent City Hall during my junior and senior year in high school and learn about the different issues that we were going through as a community. And I started to get passionate about a couple of different issues, and I spoke out in favor of the community and with the community to fight those issues and to see if we could make progress on them. I spoke in favor of getting an emergency shelter built for homeless women and children. We got that successfully passed through the Kent Land Use and Planning Board, as well as the Kent City Council. I also fought hard. It was a 4-month fight with the community and I telling the city council that a local park by the name of Pine Tree Park, should be saved instead of being torn down and developed on. And after about a 4-month fight, I jumped in around the 3rd month. We saved it in a 5-2 vote. I also had the wonderful opportunity to work for a state representative last year and helped get her elected to the 33rd district. That was a wonderful experience. And I spent my junior and senior year mentoring for special needs kids and being a TA. And that was a really great opportunity. What I want to do here in the city of Shelton, if I'm lucky enough to be elected commissioner, is I really want to prioritize people. I think that no matter at what level of government that you sit at, whether it's local, state, or federal, people should always be your number 1 priority. People come first. People are in fact the reason that we do this. People are in fact the reason that we get elected to these offices. So somewhere along the line, I believe that the city commission, both past and present, has forgotten about people and has stopped listening to the people of this city. And I really want to prioritize that. I also want to work on public safety, homelessness, and help get the drug problem. I do think this is a city full of potential, and there are a lot of really great things. And I just want to get out there and make a difference. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Kevin Dorcy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Dorcy, and thanks for coming tonight. Other candidates have been talking about sewer rates and things like that. Yes, they're high, but we own it. We need to get by this. If the city can lower the rates, I'm sure that they will do so. It would be in their best interest. But they need to be sustainable. Their department has to be able to run. Oops. The role of the city commissioner is to set a vision for the future, and it's up to the city staff to execute that vision. This is something we haven't had for a long time, a vision for the future of Shelton, and it's time we did. We need to focus on economic development and fiscal responsibility as a commission. We need to develop an economic plan that identifies the kind of businesses we want to attract, and then how do we attract them? And we need a vibrant downtown. We need retail that will keep citizens' dollars right here in Shelton. That is key to making the city of Shelton a thriving community. It's my experience in small business for most of my life as a contractor. I've dealt with subcontracting, I've dealt with permitting, all the things that come with that. Araco Coffee with my wife, and my son, Matt. And the last 14, 15 years, I've been a construction maintenance supervisor at WC. It's these things that make me the ideal candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. These following questions will be asked of each of you. You will have 90 seconds to answer. We will go in the order of Jacob, Kevin, and Tracy for this first question. In 2016, the City Commission temporarily waived permit fees in an effort to spur development. Recently, there has been discussion about whether or not to reinstate these in part or in whole. What do you believe the best course of action is and why? Jacob?
I think that the reduction of fees, we obviously saw them cause a bit of loss to the city as far as funds go. I think that if we want people to build here, and if they feel that the fees aren't that bad, it showed in the Mason County Journal, 73% of the people that came here to build said that the fees weren't really a reason that they were building here. That didn't have an impact on why they were building here. So I think if we need to find financial recovery, yes, do a partial or full reinstatement.
Kevin?
Okay. The permit fees were lowered, and I think it was a great idea. It accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. It kick-started growth. They say some people are saying they lost $65,000. Well, you can only say that if you assume that we were going to get these 19 or 20 or 23 permits at the old rate. You can't assume that the program did what they wanted to do. Now, do they need to reinstate? Yes, I think they do. At a cost the city management needs to figure out what they need to keep their program or their office sustainable to run and adjust the costs accordingly. In 2015, the rates were way up here. Now they're way down here. People weren't building in 2015, it was too high. So we need to meet somewhere in the middle here. Figure out what we need to do and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tracy?
Okay, I think this is a very subjective, the way that we look at this, whether it was a success or it wasn't a success. I was against this because I felt that the incentive to build was of benefit to a select few individuals, and there was not that broad range benefit to the whole community. I would favor more an incentive program where we did targeted properties, targeted projects, and incentivized those. The 2015 fees were still much less than the regional fees throughout our region. So it was cheaper to build here at the very beginning. I'm glad that we've had some new building that has happened. I do believe it was an ill-timed project, and it was not thought out enough. We didn't have recognized goals. We didn't have any projections of when would be enough. So I am in favor of incentivized building with a more predictable outcome, and a predictable outcome that benefits our entire community rather than a few individuals.
Thank you. Next question will go in order of Kevin, Tracy, and Jacob. If you had the authority, what one ordinance would you put in place or revoke, and why?
What ordinance? Boy, I can't, excuse me, I'll stand up. I don't know exactly what ordinance I would get rid of. I don't claim to know everything I need to know yet about commission, but if I get in there, which I hope I do, I will study up on that and give you a great answer later.
Tracy?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I would say off the top of my head, I would be in favor of maybe strengthening our ordinances regarding code enforcement so that we have more of an ability to clean up our city, to keep it clean, to make it attractive, to build community pride, and to show the community that we care and that we expect the best for our community.
Because I, like Mr. Dorcy said, and I'll say the same thing, because I'm not in office yet, and I'm not going to pretend that I know the ordinances. I don't want to sit up here and act like I know what I'm talking about if I don't. I would rather be honest with you and give you an honest answer. That is something that I will educate myself on when I take office. I will look at the ordinances and see which ones may be good, which ones may be bad. I will also talk to citizens. The key to any decision that we make is also getting citizen input. So that's going to be priority for me if I take office. I am not sure yet. I will study up and I'll be able to give you an answer if and when I take office.
Thank you.
The next 6 questions will be asked of 2 candidates at a time. Each of you will have 90 seconds to respond. At the beginning of the evening, we had each of the candidates randomly draw for question numbers. So we'll begin with Jacob and Tracy on this first. And it's, what are your top 3 to 5 priorities for the Public Works Department? And Jacob.
My biggest priority, we have currently 4 shelved projects under the Public Works Department. And to be accurate, I'm going to name them here. The Pear Orchard Project, the Evergreen Elementary School Safe Sidewalks Project, Downtown Creeks, and the Angelside Booster Pump Station, which cost the city $1.7 million and what could cost an additional $400,000. Those shelved projects, I will look to cancel if and when I take office. I will talk to the citizens first, see if we should keep any of these and work on them if the citizens want them. If not, they will be canceled and we will move forward. We cannot stay stuck in the mud with these projects that have been poorly executed and that are just wasting time and collecting dust. I will get rid of those. The other priority is to be smart with spending, to make sure that we are giving community input, that the citizens, the small business owners, agency leaders have a voice. And if they say, we don't want this project, we don't think this is right, we think this is too much money, and this is just going to not be good for us, I would certainly take that into consideration. As I've said before, we need to put the citizens first and make sure they are heard. So smart spending. One of the things I wanted to prioritize too, and I'll name as number 3, is the Shelton Hills Development Project. That's something that's been talked about for about 20 years now. Nothing's ever happened with it. If and when we recover and when we find the money and the resources to do so, I would like to move forward with that. I think it'll be a great job creator and it can definitely help us move forward. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Certainly. It's, what are your top 3 to 5 priorities for the Public Works Department?
Okay. Well, first of all, I will say that the 4 priorities that Mr. Dreifus mentioned have been shelved, so we don't have to worry about those. My 3 to 5 most important projects are definitely continuing with Basin 3, getting that project done, getting the Alder Street improvements done, continuing on with using our transportation benefit dollars to pave our streets. We're doing a great job on that. I'm really excited about having that funding source. And also the Railroad Avenue, continue those improvements from 7th Street to Highway 101 in conjunction with the county. I'm very excited about those projects. Also, as far as the Pear Orchard Park, I am determined that when we are in better financial standing, that we continue on that project. That's been a long time coming. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to finish it, and it will be a great asset to our waterfront and to tie in with the Eagle Point project that the port is doing. So those are mine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This next question is also for Tracy and Jacob. Tracy, we'll begin with you. There's been recent discussion about moving to a 7-person city council. Do you believe that this is superior to a 3-person commission? Why or why not?
I very firmly, personally believe that we should look at, and it is time to move to a 7-member council. The reasons for this is that with a city with a population of 10,000, we do not get adequate representation from 3 commissioners. We have seen, and the other candidates have mentioned how they don't feel that the citizens are being listened to. I can tell you that we are listening, but we're not listening as well as we could be. And if we had a broader range of representation from among our citizenry, it would enable us to work together on projects to better serve the ideas and the goals of our city. And we would be faced with making decisions based on what our citizens want rather than on any bias or preconceived notion that we have.
Great, thank you. Jacob, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. I strongly agree with my opponent, and I think her heart is really in the right place with this. I think we need to move on from the commission setting that we currently have. We are the last of its kind in this state, and we need to move forward from the dinosauric age of government that we currently have in this city. I think it would be a lot better if we had more representation and more hands on deck, more ideas flowing, and hopefully more solutions coming from that. I supported my opponent's decision to move forward in that last meeting on the city commission and say, hey, we need to really look at this. Hopefully it will get approved Monday to be put on the ballot. I think that the citizens should decide whether or not they want to continue with the city commission or the city council. Really, at the end of the day, it is up to the citizens. But yes, I would support it.
Thank you. Question number 3 is for Jacob and Kevin. Jacob, I'll ask you this question first. As shown by neighboring areas, the city's focus on economic development is essential. What are your ideas to make Shelton a more attractive place to live, work, and play? And specifically, how do you intend to encourage growth outside of infrastructure?
The part about, I want to highlight on the part about helping it grow outside of infrastructure. I think, again, that having new leadership and will help us grow. Somebody with new ideas, somebody with a fresh perspective, somebody that's going to prioritize the people. It's really going to take all fronts. I also think how to help the city grow outside of infrastructure would be improving public safety. I've spoken with the chief of police, and he would like a couple more officers, a detox center, and mental health beds. I think those would be extremely helpful to dealing with the issues that we have here. As I've said, it's a great city, but we do have issues that we need to address. Now, as far as infrastructure goes, I want to go back to the Shelton Hills Development Project. I think that's a great opportunity to help with growth. We have to be careful with how we do it because we got to make sure everything's going the right way as far as construction, funding, all those things. I think that would be good. Another thing I would like to look at, this might be a bit of a far reach, but is talking to Amazon about getting a distribution center built out here in Shelton. Great job creator, and I think that would be great for our growth. It may not happen, but it's something that I would like to work on.
Thank you. Kevin, would you like me to repeat that question?
Yes, please.
As shown by neighboring areas, the city's focus on economic development is essential. What are your ideas to make Shelton a more attractive place to live, work, and play? And specifically, how do you intend to encourage growth outside of infrastructure?
Well, I'd like to encourage growth by offering contractors, businesses, whoever, to come into town, buy up an old place, a burnout house, an old condemned building, fix it up, start a business, and give them, actually eliminate hookups for them, permits for them to help beautify the city. The other thing that would attract businesses, I believe, would be to fix the streets a little bit. I mean, come on, they're pretty bad. And I think that if our city looked a little better, we might be able to attract people to come to town to start a business. They're the ones that are going to be paying more taxes. People will be spending their money there. It's just going to be better for all around for our city. What was the second part of the question?
Specifically, how do you intend to encourage growth?
Oh, well, that's kind of how I intend to encourage it, is to offer low rates to people come in, buy up old burnout houses or condemned buildings and fix them up, and then bring new business. What do we want to bring to this town? Do we want a bowling alley? Do we want this? Do we want that? Have them come to town, and we'll give them a good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4, Kevin and Tracy, you'll be asked this question. Kevin, you'll answer first. We often hear that a lack of financial resources is an issue at the municipal level. Considering the priorities of government, do you believe that additional revenue is needed? If so, how would you go about it? If not, what is your rationalization?
I do believe that additional revenue is needed because there's been so much spending in the past that so much of our tax dollars right now are going toward interest on loans. And I think that we need to pull back a little bit and slow down on the spending a little bit and use some of our tax dollars for our infrastructure, our streets, our sidewalks, safety for our citizens. And that's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy, would you like me to repeat that?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, please repeat.
Certainly.
I'm so busy listening.
We often hear that a lack of financial resources is an issue at the municipal level. Considering the priorities of government, do you believe additional revenue is needed? If so, how would you go about it? If not, what is your rationalization?
Oh, obviously, we always need more revenue. I think that decisions that we make as far as how we spend the revenue we have are essential and can either work towards bringing new growth and new economic development or not, cause it to remain stagnant. I recently, you may know, have been a real advocate for promoting the reuse of the Simpson rail line for a tourism rail and also to maintain that line for freight mobility. And I believe that is something that is essential. I believe it will happen. We're still working on that. And I think that those type of projects, looking forward and not backward, and trying to become the city that is famous in retrospect for innovative ideas such as the Rainier plant, even though they've left some pollution for us. It's pretty impressive that Rayon was here and some of the scientists that were here in the long ago days. I would like to make us a place that is known for innovation, and I think that that would attract more innovative people, if we would subsidize that type of development, and if we would make that type of industry welcome. I would really support that.
Thank you. Fifth question, Jacob and Kevin. Jacob, you'll answer this first. If you had opened a business within the city in the past 12 months, what would your review of that process be? What do you think could be improved or expanded upon?
I actually talked to the small business owners downtown when I first started campaigning, and they said that the fees were fine. They were okay with the fees, and they thought they were decent enough. They just said, as citizens have said, that they don't feel like they're being listened to by city leadership. They feel like that when they go to these city meetings and try and talk about these issues at the podium or wherever, whenever, they aren't really being listened to. Like, they hear it, but they don't address it. If I were a business owner here in Shelton, I would want to feel the same way. I would want to feel that my city leadership is listening to me, making me feel welcome, making me feel like I'm a part of the community. The community, or the small business owners here, are such nice people. And I just want to say that the community, the citizens, agency leaders, and small business owners have welcomed me with open arms, and I'm so grateful for that. So to answer your question again, I think that we just need to start listening to our small business owners and really make them feel like they're a part of the community.
Thank you. Kevin, would you like me to repeat that
Please.
question? If you had opened a business within the city in the past 12 months, what would your review of that process be? What do you think could be improved or expanded upon?
If I was to open up a business in the last 12 months, I think that, in the last, I'm trying to remember when they took away the permit fees, so that might be attractive to me. However, I would need to find a need in the city and fill that need, and quite frankly, it's very costly to open a business. My son has done that, and I've done that, and it's hard to get through those opening couple of years to start a business, but I think I would just try to work with the city and try to come up with a way that we can start a business. We're actually thinking about starting another business on the other side of town, another coffee shop. So, I think that it'd be tough, but we need to work through that and figure out a way to make it work for both the city, the business person, and get the community to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question is also for Kevin and Jacob. Kevin, I'll ask you first. What are the most important neighboring governmental jurisdictions to the city of Shelton, and on what issues do you believe you can work cooperatively on?
That is a good question. Can you repeat it one more time?
Certainly. What are the most important neighboring governmental jurisdictions to the city of Shelton, and on what issues do you believe you could work cooperatively on?
Boy, I'm not too sure about the question. I don't want to sit up here and talk about something that I'm not up on. I would rather talk about some of the issues that are going on in the city right now. So I'm going to decline to answer it correctly, I guess. I just don't want to stand up here and act like I know something I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob, what do you believe are the most important neighboring governmental jurisdictions to the city of Shelton, and on what issues do you believe you can work cooperatively on?
To clarify with the question, you're talking about working with other neighboring cities on issues? That's okay. I would like to, Mason County and Thurston County are neighboring. I would also like to work with Thurston County on homelessness. I think that homelessness is a very important issue. It affects this community, it affects this state, and it affects this country. I agree that we need to focus on city issues, but building neighboring city and county relationships is very important. I think homelessness and drug use are two things that I would like to work on, finding solutions, maybe sharing ideas with other city leaders or other county leaders and city leaders on how we can address homelessness with programs and drug use with programs. So I think that's something I'd really like to work on.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We now have the opportunity for each of our candidates to ask a question of their opponents. Each of you will have 1 minute to respond to the question. We'll begin with questions prepared by Tracy Moore. Tracy Moore prepared this question for Jacob. What is your connection to Shelton, and did you move here for the purpose of running for office?
So I don't necessarily have a connection here to Shelton. I am very much new to the community. And no, that's ridiculous. My purpose for moving here was not to simply run for office. I moved here because our friend Michael Pearson had a home on Harstein Island. He said it was a wonderful community and a very nice area of town, and you guys should have a fresh start here and see what it's like. We moved here. We loved it. We moved here in November of 2016. And as I was watching tapes of the city commission meetings, I decided, well, I got involved in local politics in Kent. I would like to continue that. And here in Shelton, the people seem really nice. And I just started to see that the people weren't being well represented. So yes, I don't have the connection here that the lifers have, that have lived here 30 or 40, 50 plus years and built that connection. But I think having someone come from the outside is good. Someone with a fresh perspective, someone that's passionate, someone that's willing to put the people first for once. So that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, Tracy prepared a question for you. What have you done to prepare for this office?
Well, my experience speaks for itself, I believe, in how I prepared for this office. Plus, that's experience in building, experience in business, making tough decisions. Sometimes in life, in business, there's things you might want to buy, but sometimes there's a need, and which one are you going to get? Are you going to get the want or the need? And then you got to figure out how you're going to pay for that need. My experience in construction maintenance project supervising out at the prison, I read blueprints, I do all kinds of projects out there, and they have to be on time and under budget or on budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob Dreifus has prepared the following question for Tracy. In your 2013 candidate statement, you talked about the importance of public safety. Yet, 4 years later, the police chief is still in need of more officers, mental health beds, and a detox center. Why hasn't there been more significant effort put into these specific public safety issues by this commission since you've taken office 4 years ago?
Well, that's an easy one. Actually, there has been a lot done. We are in the process of getting a detox center. We've made great strides. We've hired a police chief that's been very proactive in making inroads into the community. We have begun the process of working with the substance abuse programs, the opioid addiction issue. I've been very active with the Homeless Coalition. We've gotten funding for veterans housing and continuing to work on the homeless issues. I've been the chair of that group, and we also have been extremely supportive of the efforts of the SPAT, which was a group that was funded for a poverty action team in town.
Thank you. Jacob Dreifus did not have a question for Kevin. Kevin Dorcy has prepared this question for Tracy. The Roundhouse has been in Shelton a long time, and one can understand why people want to save it. However, there is an unknown environmental liability lying beneath the building, and there is no access to the property. Why would you want to have the city accept the building and take on this liability when Shelton is already $40+ million in debt?
I would say that the reports from the Department of Ecology and from, let's see, the bigger, I can't think of it right now, the bigger entity, the reports say that there's no further action required on that site so long as the ground is undisturbed and the roundhouse is used under its current use. As long as it's continued to be used as a roundhouse, there's no further action required. Simpson did a number of improvements back in the 80s that contained it, but the site has been monitored. I spoke many times with the EPA as the group I was trying to think of. So there is not, I think we've established that there isn't the necessary access to the public, but the building would still be extremely useful as support for a rail business, and we believe that could still be done.
Thank you. Jacob, Kevin Dorcy submitted a question for you. Recently, you said that you thought the City Commission made a bad move by lowering the permit fees. Why do you believe this is the case when doing so prompted 23 new construction permits, generating revenue for the city in the near future compared to 0 and 2 permits in the previous years?
I do think it was a bad move because, again, I'm going to highlight the $65,000 loss. There are some people that believe that loss doesn't exist. There are some people that do. I believe it does exist. Again, and I did say in that interview that I believe their heart was in the right place. Look, as city leadership, we are going to make good decisions and we're going to make bad decisions. People make bad decisions. We're human beings, all of us. No one in this room or in this city or in this state or in this country is free of making a mistake. But when you consistently make mistake after mistake after mistake, and you're not listening to the citizens and you're not spending their tax dollars responsibly, it is time for a change in leadership. I think it's great that new homes have been built here because of the fee lowering. It did accomplish what it was supposed to. Awesome. I think that's great, but it still hurts to have a $65,000 loss, possibly even more than that, which could have resulted in the hiring of new officers and improvements on roads and things like that. Again, some people believe it doesn't exist, some do. That's my position. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we'll begin with closing statements. You'll each have 90 seconds, and we're going to begin with Jacob.
So, as I said before in my opening statement, I've been passionate about this ever since I was 10 years old. When I first started getting involved in politics, I had a lot of people tell me that wasn't going to make it, didn't know what I was doing, I was wasting my time and my life. The people in life that tell you that you can't do something and that you're not going to make it are the ones that cannot even do it themselves. You can't let anyone or anything in life stop you from doing what you want to do, from living your life, and from accomplishing your dreams. I'm simply here because I think this is a fabulous community. I want to serve it to the absolute best of my ability. I want to put people first. I want to spend intelligently. I want to help people that are suffering from drugs and alcohol so they don't have to suffer in silence anymore. I simply want to serve. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to do this. I've had experiences in my life with politicians that have said things to me and they've broken promises and they've lied. I don't want to be the politician that constantly screws up and constantly lies, constantly ignores the people. I want to be the leader that's going to put people first and that's going to do the absolute best that he can. Am I going to make mistakes? Yes. But if I directly own up to those mistakes and I work as hard as I can to never do them again, that's what matters. I just want to serve the people of this city. I believe that they need help. I believe that it's time for new leadership. And I really can't wait to get started. And again, I thank you all for opening your heart and your arms to me and saying welcome to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Okay, recently, there's been a rumor going around that I moved here to run for commission. Those of you that know me know that I've been around here my whole life, and I love this city. My parents moved to Union in 1951 from Bellingham with my older brother and sister. I was born in '53. I wasn't actually born in Shelton. I was born in Bellingham because my mom wanted to go back to her family doctor. So I was kind of born on vacation. All right. We lived at Canal. We moved to Shelton in 1955, and we lived on the very lot that Araco Coffee sits on today. I can remember Lincoln School over in the corner is where the Civic Center is today. I went to Evergreen School till I was in the 4th grade, and we moved to Mountain View up on King Street. I went to Mountain View School, and I went to junior high, and then I went to the Shelton High School. All this has got to be documented somewhere. All right? So I'm not going to go any farther with all that. I did marry my sweetheart and all that from high school, but it's time for me to think of the citizens. And the citizens have been good to my family, and now it's time for me to give back to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
Okay. It hasn't been an easy time being the minority vote these last years. And frankly, I considered not running again. But I still believe in Shelton, and I still believe in our amazing citizens who continue to strive for a better community. Our citizens consistently vote for important resources that benefit our community, for libraries, parks, schools, streets, the why, and they are the most general people around given the support for our local nonprofits. Our citizens want Shelton to be a regional hub of activity and life and tourism and community pride. And through regressive votes, we keep giving them messages that they are a poor backwater dive. I don't believe that we've been paying enough attention to what our community wants, and that we've made decisions based on a lack of trust and bias. And I believe this community is ready for more. And this may mean giving them an opportunity to reform our government to a 7-member council. I hope that you will elect me to be part of that new start for Shelton so that I can keep fighting to give Shelton the more that they want. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes tonight's forum. Thank you to each of you, Tracy Moore, Jacob Dreifus, and Kevin Dorcy, for sharing your platform with us this evening. Again, my thanks to the President of the Chamber Board, John Lester, who is also with our partner, Shelton Mason County Journal. My appreciation also to our partners at Hood Canal Communications and MasonWebTV, and the Chamber's Government Relations Committee, as well as to each of you for joining us tonight. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.